It's February 24th, Student Press Freedom Day. It's a time to recognize the challenges that student journalists face today, but also appreciate the contributions they make in society. Today, I would like to highlight Orange Coast College's student-run newspaper, Coast Report, in a time when there was no other option than to unmute themselves. On February 9th, 2021, 18-year-old Amani Palmer and 33-year-old Robert Stell were found dead in OCC student housing. This is the Harbour. Taz McGill, who at the time was working a first semester at Coast Report, was a student journalist who broke the news for the school's paper.
So that was the first story I had, while I was on Coast Report. I had just joined the team. So I remember feeling the urgency from, the entire group and just, wanting to hop on and be as helpful as I could.
The work that Taz produced was heavy-hitting, but she was able to bring clarity to what really happened at the Harbour that night. It was a period that tested the will of Coast Report's student journalists, but the staff was able to put together several stories encompassing every aspect of the Harbour and the two students who were tragically lost to drug overdoses.
I remember mostly the energy in the newsroom. There was a large sense of urgency regarding getting out reporting on the deaths and kind of getting down to the details of what had happened. I remember that there was a lot of care that went into the story to try to make sure that we upheld the highest reporting ethics and standards to be able to do what we could in our own way to do for these students that had passed away.
The reporting that Coast Report conducted was extensive, and it truly took a complete team effort to deliver accurate news to the public.
I got information from a few different sources. There is some public information online, such as the Costa Mesa Fire Department records that I was able to access and get certain information from. And as our investigation into these deaths kind of continued, I reached out to Roxy Fioid from the Costa Mesa Police Department. We also reached out to the OC Sheriff Coroner's office, and I talked to several students that lived at the Harbour.
Reporting on a tragedy like this was taxing work for everyone involved, but there was an even greater obstacle that Coast Report had to overcome while investigating the sudden death of two OCC students on campus.
I think in some incidences we got, I guess what you could say, boxed out of a lot of public sources of information, such as different officials at the school. They would talk about how this was violation of people's medical privacy and that they were going to violate different federal law by giving us information, but this wasn't really the case because we weren't actually asking for identifying personal information, and it was more just a case where they clearly wanted us to more so just stop digging. And then we ran into other walls with reporting, such as the cases being involved with an open police investigation, and so we couldn't access certain documents the official death reports, the coroner's reports, are different police records too that were available.
Sarah Goudreau, who is now the editor-in-chief of Coast Report, wrote an editorial in late February of 2021 titled, "The Time for Transparency at OCC is Now," calling out the lack of cooperation and care representatives at Orange Coast College expressed in the aftermath of the Harbour incident. Goudreau concluded her piece with one simple line: "Truth will prevail." A declaration recognized statewide at the Journalism Association of Community College annual conference.
It was definitely an honor to be recognized by the JACC for the Southern California region for the editorial I wrote on transparency, because I feel like it was a very important cause and issue that we felt strongly at the time, because we felt like there's a possibility with the facts that we had on hand that there was fentanyl going around student housing. And so at the time of writing that, me and the rest of the editorial board were very fearful for the lives of students at the Harbour. And so I'm glad that the editorial, getting the attention of the public, was able to bring more attention to these kind of problems.
When it was all said and done, the staff at Coast Report felt the effect of their work and were reminded of the importance of student journalism having a platform.
As a student journalist, it really made me feel secure in wanting to be a journalist. I felt I felt the rush that I knew I would get.
It was definitely a source of pride that our journalists have been able to scoop LA Times on that story. We know that they contacted the OC Sheriff's Department or the coroner's office within just a couple hours of us. And so we're glad that we were able to report what was happening on our own turf in such a timely manner and kind of own what was happening on our school.
I think that my coverage of the event made an impact on the community because it helped bring more clarity to the emails we received from the school at the time, and wasn't just a quick crime blurb. It was more in depth.